Every day we hear people talking about brands, companies like Nike, Ford, and the focus of my experiment, Oreo. The brands are known by everyone and bought by many, but are they really better? Now, this experiment could be replicated among any brand under the sun, but to keep myself from spending a lifetime on it, I've simplified it down to just cookies. So basically, on one hand we have the Oreo, and the other hand we have the not Oreos. In this case, Great Value's Twist and Shout cookies. Now what I'm trying to find out is if the Oreos are really better. Let's jump into the actual experiment. So what I did is I split up my experiment into 4 smaller categories. Each one of those categories is going to have its own conclusion, which will help me reach my final conclusion at the end. First up is cost. This one is the easiest of the 4. Now, as you would expect, the Oreo is the more expensive of the 2. At $2.76, a 36-pack of Oreos is over $1 more than the Great Value cookies. But what does this mean in terms of per cookie price? Well, basically, you're paying an extra 3 cents per cookie for the Oreo brand. Is it worth it? Well, that's what the next 3 categories we're going to help you find out. So here's where it starts to get really mathy. Basically, I bought a pack of each cookie and I ran it through a makeshift quality control test that I made up. Basically, if a cookie is broken, cracked, or misshapen, it fails the test. Now, theoretically, the Oreos should have less failed cookies than the Great Value because they are the more expensive and supposedly the better cookie. However, in my testing, this was not the case. The Oreos actually had 13 cookies that failed my test, compared to the Great Value brand's 2 cookies. Now, if we assume that the Oreos are the better cookie, a test reveals that there's only a 0.07% chance of that happening by random chance. Because this p-value is smaller than our chosen alpha level, we have to reject the null in favor of the alternative. What that means is basically the Oreos failed another test, so right now it's 2-0 for the Great Value cookies. Next up is weight. I wanted to see if one manufacturer consistently had heavier cookies than the others. One thing to note is that the packages state that they should be identical. There's 36 cookies with a total weight of 405 grams. So what I did to test this is I weighed them. All of them. It took a while, but I did end up getting some pretty interesting results. Now, in my test, underfilling was not an issue from either of the brands. In fact, most of the cookies weighed more than it said they would on the box, so there's not a problem there. I did find, however, that the Oreos consistently weighed heavier than the Great Value brands. Once I conducted my test, I came up with a p-value of 6%. Now, at my original alpha level, I would have to fail to reject, meaning that there's really no difference between the two. However, 6% is still pretty convincing. If we adjusted our alpha level to be 10%, then we would come to the conclusion that we would have to reject the null hypothesis. In this case, that means that the Oreos would in fact be heavier on average than the Great Value cookies. And now the most important factor in the experiment, taste. For this, I got another 2 packs of cookies and took out to the school to ask people what they thought about the cookies. I sampled over 30 people and I asked them all to rank each cookie on a scale of 1 to 10. The order in which they got the cookie was randomly chosen, so theoretically there should be no bias there. The end result was extremely convincing. With a test statistic of over 9 and a p-value of approximately 0, we confirmed that in fact the Oreo is the better tasting cookie. So let's sum up all of the findings so far. We discovered that the Oreos were more expensive and they were on average more broken than the Great Value cookies. However, we also found that they were heavier and in fact tasted much better than the other cookies. So I guess my conclusion at this point is basically what you've suspected your entire life. The Oreos are in fact the better cookie. To me, the extra price is not enough to make me sacrifice quality, and honestly, who really cares what their cookie looks like once it's in their mouth? I guess my only real question now is, what do I do with all these extra cookies? Now, the obvious choice of getting rid of all these leftovers would be to eat them, but I prefer to go out with more of a bang than that. So I'm going to blow them up with high explosives. This is tannerite. It's a binary exploding target. Basically, you shoot it and it blows up. So what I'm going to do is tape all my leftover Oreos around the outside and shoot it. Here it is in all of its glory, the Cookie D. I am on my way out with the Cookie D here. Just trying to find a nice spot out here in the swamp.
tell where the explosion was.